Welcome back to Burn the Ship, the podcast where we connect entrepreneurs to professionals to help you go all in on your business. I'm your host, Ezra Brown. Without further ado, I'm going to let my guest introduce herself.
Hey y'all, I'm Katie. I am with Katie Clicks. We are a virtual assisting and social media marketing company.
Awesome, Katie. Well, give us kind of a story. How did you become Katie Clicks? You know, where did all this originate from? You know, did you start out in marketing, or did you start somewhere else in business as like someone working in a grocery store at 16 that made you want to do this, or what kind of paint that picture for us?
Well, what happened is I actually was a dental assistant for 16 years in total, 14 with one specific doctor. And he just decided to retire, but I had been with him for so long. I was an assistant before I was even allowed to push the radiation button, because now it's all digital. Back then we
Right.
used to have to, go through and manually expose them and all of that stuff. And I was
Right.
not even of legal age to push the button to take the x-rays. So it was really interesting. So, he got to see me kind of grow up quite a bit and, evolve. I went to back to college actually while I was working with him full time as an assistant. And I got a bachelor's in business management, an associate's in accounting and marketing. And then I ended up getting pregnant a few years after that. So it changed the whole course of everything. But I was basically running A to Z for him, from personal life to the business. I paid every single bill, including, his car payments, his mortgage, everything. And it was just something I really enjoyed. Every time we had an event, he would call me and say, hey, let's do this event, whatever dental convention he found that sounded fun location to go to, those kind of things.
Right.
And so it's just something I ended up being. Besides being his personal assistant, I was also an executive assistant as well as a dental assistant.
Right.
And when he retired, the gal that took over did not quite like how involved I was. And so we parted ways mutually on decent terms. She never badmouthed me, nor I to her. She is very good at what she does. I tried working for another guy. It just didn't work out. And so I just kind of fell into this, what do I do with my life now? And so I decided I wanted to figure out a way to help other businesses grow their business. And so I got into a company, actually a construction company. So I went completely to a whole nother aspect. But
Right.
I was an executive assistant, and I was doing everything I did plus some from the dental field to this. And then COVID hit, and I helped them sustain as long as I could, but they couldn't keep me on and keep the business going. So I was like, well, I really love construction. So, the crazy person that I am decided to go get my general contractor's license. Yeah. So I decided I was going to do kind of dabble in two different separate things. I was trying to build my construction company as well as my virtual assisting. And so essentially I started both at the exact same time. And virtual assisting kind of took off a lot faster than the construction did because we hadn't had any storms in a few years. And there wasn't anything going on. And it was mostly roofing that I knew at the time with, interior remodeling, that kind of thing. But I mean, not a whole lot else. And so I decided I wanted to start focusing on these smaller businesses, the ones that are, mom and pops or, one man show. Because what I can help them do is run things on the back end, and then they can continue with their work-life balance. Because as we all know, I've been there, done that. Everybody that owns a business and they are a one-man show for the time being, they don't see their family as much. When they're at home, they're focusing on all these minimal things that need to get done. Their spreadsheets, their P&Ls, their, all these little minute things that take up time for them because it's not really their specialty. Their specialty is, we'll say, plumbing, framing, whatever the case may be. That's their specialty. The other side of the business part isn't. So what I want to do is bring it to the point of, I can help you with your inside stuff while you're handling all the exterior stuff. And it's just starting to grow and take off. And I'm super excited. I'm actually sad at the same time because I'm losing my biggest client that I've had since I started the business. but on a good way, because I have helped them grow so big that now they're handling everything internal because it makes more sense that way. So it's a good thing that I'm losing them, but I'm sad at the same time, but it's great. And so that's ultimately, if that's what your goal, I want to help achieve that. Ultimately, if that's your goal to be so big, I want to help work my way out of a position just
That's that.
because
Yeah.
I know I'm helping you. And that's what I enjoy doing, is helping people.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Sounds like you've made some 180s in your career life. From
Definitely
dental
have.
assistant to construction. That's a big jump.
It
And
is. It is.
then into the marketing side and into helping out. That's super cool. We work pretty hand in hand with a lot of people that are what you do. I don't know if Bailey told you we're a payments company. Me and him both do.
Yeah.
We do payment services. That's what we do. We're salesmen. So
Mm-hmm.
we work closely with people like you. You're in my sphere. So I'd be working like closely with somebody similar to you. That's awesome. But no, kind of what has been like that's a big bunch of going through the different jumps in that career, in the career fields that you've been through. Kind of what's been the biggest hoop that you've had to go through since you've, been in this marketing side and trying to help businesses? What has been that biggest change?
Learning that I can't help everybody, and understanding that so in dental assisting, I was specifically in ortho, so we did braces.
Okay.
We're making everybody go from a smile they hate to a smile that they love, or at least one that they can tolerate.
Right.
If you had to have oral surgeries, whatever the case may be. And being in this field now, I have to take a step back sometimes and realize that, those overbearing moms are overbearing in every aspect of their life. And yeah, I could tolerate you for an hour or two, but working with you hand in hand on a weekly or even at sometimes daily basis,
Right.
I can't do it because it doesn't matter how much I try. I'm not going to make you happy, and you're just going to constantly complain. It's not worth anybody's time. And so
Right.
that's been my biggest hurdle, is telling people I'm sorry, but I just don't feel like we're the right fit.
Yeah. And that
That's
is
my
definitely one
biggest
of the
hurdle.
hard things because not everybody's your ideal client. And, that's one of those things that you learn, probably when you first started out, doing all this, you probably thought you could make everybody your ideal client.
I did.
Because I
did.
dang
Not
sure
even
did.
gonna lie.
I dang sure did too. Yeah, I was gonna make sure I could make it work, even if I noticed it couldn't work halfway through. I was gonna be like, it's gotta work. I need this to work.
Yes.
That is definitely something that I've heard a good bit. And talking to a lot of people that are in business owners and or running small businesses. That's kind of one of those things that people don't really realize is everybody's got a target market. You got to find who your target client is, and it helps you be super successful. And then especially
Exactly.
knowing a little bit of construction background, I bet you help out a ton of people in the trades world.
Oh yes.
Because
I enjoy doing that.
Joe at Joe's Plumbing is a really good plumber, but he's not a very good in the back end.
Correct.
Yeah, yes.
Yes. I do have one of those
that
that before I came on board was I had one on each end of the spectrum. One was paying way too much to taxes. One was paying way too little to taxes, and it just ended up being, a really big issue.
Right. Well, kind of tell me a little bit about your ideal client.
So really, I just need that person that actually needs help. I don't want to be helping somebody that already has every system in place. Because if you already have a system, you already know exactly how it's going to run. You have it down. I want that person that's maybe just starting out, has a steady clientele coming in, but don't know how to get to those next steps.
Right.
Or somebody that has word of mouth clientele coming that wants to go to another level. Or somebody who's got investors that are, because I don't work for free, so but, somebody that can afford to take that next step. I'm trying to help build people, and I don't care where you're at in the steps. I would like to create teamwork with somebody to where we are creating the best game plan to get you to your next level and grow you to the level that you want to get to, or as close to it as possible, because I'm not a miracle worker either, let's be real. But, I want to get you going and get you guided on the right way, because I do have that aspect of business. I do have the marketing, I do have accounting, that I can hit every aspect of business. Now, right now, we are not allowing phone calls or answering phone calls for other customers. That's just not
Mm-hmm.
something that I enjoy doing. However,
Right.
by the end of summer, I will have people in those positions that we will be able to run a call center type deal for
Okay.
clientele. So it's
That'd be
something we're
awesome.
building up to, but I want to take people to new levels, and I want
Right.
to help guide them to that level.
Which is super cool. That's super awesome. Especially so you're one of those people you get more out of it if you help somebody than if you're doing it for yourself.
Correct. Correct.
That's awesome.
Definitely.
That's awesome.
I want to build myself out of a position if that is how big you want to go. I
That's awesome.
understand that it's not something that somebody is always going to want. They are going to grow,
Yeah.
but I want to help them get to that level and work myself out of that position. It excites
Absolutely.
me to do that.
Absolutely. Being selfless is a great characteristic to have in this life we live. But kind of what was the one thing like when you started? This is one of the questions we always ask everybody that comes on the podcast. I'm sure whenever you guys had that startup call, we talked about it a little bit. But what is that one thing that you could lean on when you first started? It could have been you were relationships based. It could have been that you're always, you stay strict to a schedule. You're never gonna deviate from that. Kind of what was that one thing that you leaned on to help you start growing your business to kind of be where you are now?
So I'm very OCD about
Okay.
how things are run. So I run on a schedule. So if I wake up at my alarm time, I feel like I'm running behind because I'm always up before my alarm, which is silly. Don't
Oh,
know why.
okay.
Wish I didn't happen, but it does.
It's
But
that
I am
sleep
one of
anxiety.
those
You get
that
it.
like, yeah, I am very much strictly to a routine and a schedule, and I have it worked out. So I have 4 kids, so I have to rotate, my time around that. I'm closing down an aspect of my construction company just due to an injury. I can't put as much into that as possible. However, I was able to schedule every little aspect of everything into my day. So I know exactly what I'm working on, when I'm working on it. I have everything planned out to the minute, which is silly, but it's just my scheduling and the way I run my day is exactly how I've been able to accomplish everything I have.
Right, which is super awesome because time is our most important commodity that we own to this. It's the most expensive one too. But
It is, but
I
it's
can,
also the most valuable because you have family, you have friends, you have a life outside of work.
yeah,
And the
yeah,
one concept that people just do not understand is that we were not born to work, we were born to live. Working is what we do to live, yes, but we still need
hmm
to live. And that's what I want to do
working
for
is what we were
other
taught to do.
small businesses. Yes.
Yes. I always say working is what we were taught to do. They trained us. They trained us for 18 years before we got out in the field.
Exactly. And that's not what we were really supposed to do. We're supposed to live and enjoy life.
Very
And
true. Very true.
unfortunately, it's not working that way for most people right now. And so I want to help that. And, with COVID happening, we lost so many small businesses. They got shut down.
But
But
we
if I
also
could bring
started a lot.
something, we did. We absolutely did. I am one of them.
The
However, I
PP,
want
the
to be able
SBA
to
and the PPP
protect
loans,
us. Exactly.
right?
But I also want to protect us from that happening again to these small businesses, if
Right.
I can.
Absolutely.
If I could provide a service to help keep them on track and keep them moving forward with all the changes that go on versus them trying
Right.
to keep their business moving forward, figure out what's going on, what steps do they need to take? It just adds so much to their plate.
It does, and if you and then you give people value, your name stays there forever with them. And that's what I was about to say. What has been your like plan with growing your business? Not really plan, but what is word of mouth, networking,
So I
marketing.
basically have been working on just word of mouth. That
Okay.
is what I've been working on this entire time and getting all of my clientele. It's just, my clientele telling their, friends and acquaintances about me. I am going to be launching a marketing campaign, and I am going to finally step out there because I do this with all of my customers, but now I'm going to do it. I will be stepping out onto social media and putting myself up there a little bit more
You
because
might
that
as
is
well.
something
There ain't
that
no
I'm
reason
good at
not to.
somebody else doing it, but guiding them in the right ways and doing it for them, but doing it for myself is just not where I've been.
Right. It's definitely somewhere. It's like a vulnerable place to be at, especially because we've never done it. That's I think about it all the time. Like, man, I've never been a social media person. Never been big on it.
Mm-hmm.
we have a viral YouTube channel. It's kind of how the podcast came about as well. That we have a good bit of following on through all platforms. But that was the first time I'd ever really been on anything with any following like that. I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. But I like to move low key. I don't want people knowing what I'm doing.
Yes.
But no, it's definitely a vulnerable state, but it's definitely something that could help you a ton, especially in your industry. Just because you can work remote, you could work for somebody that's in New York, and you be in Denver.
Absolutely.
And you can give them almost that same exact thing you can give somebody in Denver, other than a sit down coffee meeting.
Exactly. And the greatest part is that the goals that I have for this company is I want to grow big enough that I have a huge team underneath me. I want to create an entire agency that is all virtual, because as we all know, how many scams are out there for remote work from home jobs that we see out there that just are not what they really are. They're definitely all scams, 99.9% of them. And so I would like to be able to provide something for other people, whatever their situations are. They could need to work from home because they're socially awkward and don't want to be out in public.
Right.
They have, an autoimmune disease. They're a stay-at-home mom that their kids went back to school, but they also need that flexibility to be home without punishment if their children are sick. So I want to create something that actually pays them a decent pay, like as if they're working a real job, which is how they should be paid.
Right.
And
absolutely.
so I want to build up to that, to where hopefully by the end of the year, I have an additional 6 people that could be under our team.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, you know, Katie, we're over here at the MP Group. We will be pulling for you.
I appreciate it.
Anything you need, just reach out to us, because we will definitely help you.
Absolutely.
But what is this gonna be the hard question. What was it that you knew? Well, not really that you knew. What'd you find as you went through this journey of starting it up on your own? What'd you find was really hard that you struggled with?
Struggling with is definitely keeping the schedules clear between the employees currently, the clientele we have. You have to make sure that people do as they're supposed to. And that's the hardest part, because we aren't in-house, we're not in an office together. So it's being able to control remotely, hey, you put this appointment for this client on that client's schedule. That's not where it's supposed to be. Tracking what everybody else's movements are has definitely been the hardest part of hiring on teams.
Right. So are you guys, kind of for your company, so what would you say what is the geographical region of where you guys are all located? Is it all you guys are all from
We're
Denver?
all over. So I've got one gal that's in Massachusetts. I've got a gentleman that's in Minnesota. I've got one in Texas. I've got another in Louisiana. And then I've got one in California and Arizona. So we're kind of all spread out.
That's awesome. No, that's
and then
awesome,
same with clientele. Clientele are pretty well spread out. And I do actually have one client from Canada and one client from Europe.
Oh, okay. That's pretty cool.
So it's a little different.
That is pretty cool. Everybody's got a need for something.
They do. And that's what's great about this, is that you could be anywhere and do this. And awesome. I implore anybody, try it out, see if it works for you.
Right. And then, kind of my question to you is for, saying the scheduling and kind of, y'all being kind of all over. What's kind of a solution that you're kind of finding, that's working for you guys, or are y'all working towards one now?
We're actually working towards one now, because for everybody that's located in the United States, it's a little bit easier. Canada is as well. However, my other ones in Europe are on a whole different time zone, and so it does make it a little hard. We're all coming to a conclusion that every other month we'll have one side stay up and do a meeting overnight. So it's not, us in the U.S. being up all night for a work meeting every single time. We're kind of working out a schedule to try and figure out what's going to work best for everybody.
Right. That's awesome. But no, and then this is really the last part of what we got going on. Is do you know where the illusion burn the ship is?
I do, yes. I've heard the phrase. I just don't know every part of it. No.
Okay, well, Central American Keystore Hernán Cortés lands in modern day Mexico, which he thought was not Mexico. He thought it was America's. Lands over there, makes his men disassemble their ships and take off their supplies on the beaches and burn the ships on the beach. And whenever he burns them on the beaches, that was their symbol, is they're going to make it there or they're going to die trying. And we use the same sense in small business and entrepreneurship. So what was that burn the ship moment? What did it feel like to you?
It was, I would definitely have to say, when I lost out on the first dental job and went to work for another guy, I realized that that was not where I wanted to be. And I needed to figure it out, and I needed to figure it out quick.
Right.
COVID happened, and that's when I knew we don't know where we're going from here. So I need to figure something out and figure it out now. And that's when I decided. So it was definitely those couple of years of that change of what was going on in the world in my life,
right,
and the complete change of life.
What were those emotions?
They were definitely all over the place. There was a lot of frustration of trying to get things going and what's going on. And, you know, unfortunately, because I had been with him for so long, I was making a very good paycheck, and going to a new company, a new doctor that does know who you are and does know that you know what you're doing. You still start from the bottom and work your way back up. And starting on the bottom at even more than a 50% pay cut is definitely rock bottom.
I haven't been in that predicament in my lifetime yet. I just graduated in May, so I haven't been there, but I also don't plan on having another job for the rest of my lifetime either, though. Just because we get to build our own book of business here, so it's super cool. But that is that's very interesting. That definitely is a burn the ship moment, and definitely would give me a whirlwind of emotions doing something like that.
Yep, I was all over the place for a couple of years.
That's crazy. Well, Katie, tell the people where to find you.
Visit me at katieclicks.com. So it's KATIECLIX, as in X-ray.
We'll put her socials and we'll just put her website link in the bottom. Yes. She hasn't made it social media yet. Be looking for the brand.
Working on it.
Katie Clicks, y'all be on the lookout for it. And Katie, without first and foremost, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you guys for having me.
I appreciate you coming on the show, and burn the ship.